Over the last several years, we've gone through a lot when it comes to dealing with transmissible diseases. We've witnessed our entire world shut down, which is pretty significant. And as of late, there's understandably been exhaustion over the discussion on viruses and other human infectious diseases in regard to what role they play in deciding how we live our lives. Now, I suppose there are kind of two camps that have formed after all that we had to deal with COVID and how we perceive such illnesses. Either this is an overblown concern or we need to be very concerned. And I think, like most things, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Recently in the media, there's been a lot of attention drawn to the H5N1 bird flu, aka avian influenza. In this video, we're going to take a deeper look at the avian flu and discuss what you should be watching for. We'll try to answer the question, at what point should we be concerned? And we'll discuss what you should be doing to prepare for the potential spread of this virus if it does indeed make the jump to humans. And we'll finish the video by trying to address the issue of whether we will be ready if it indeed does become a zoonotic disease. There's a lot to discuss here, so let's jump in. Experts are warning. All right, so let's just rip the Band-Aid off and start by discussing the bad news first. Experts are warning that the bird flu virus is changing rapidly in the largest outbreak ever. Already tens of millions of poultry birds have been culled, wild birds are experiencing a mass die-off, and an estimated 9,000 sea lions, penguins, otters, porpoises, and dolphins have all died from it along the Chilean coastline. Now, worldwide experts say that the potential for a spillover of the virus to humans is of critical concern. And their concern is justifiable. For some reason, the virus is mutating more rapidly than ever, and there have been a record number of cases in not just birds, but mammals as well. And this current outbreak is alarming too, because H5N1 doesn't seem to be contained to most seasonal outbreaks. It's occurring year-round now. Rapid mutation, outbreaks in mammals, and is no longer contained seasonally are all significant red flags that a leap of the lethal strain of the zoonotic flu virus to humans may be about to happen. Now, I say this strain of the virus because it isn't new. I graduated with a degree in microbiology, so I followed it with some interest since it first emerged in 1996 in southern China and Hong Kong. It is considered highly pathogenic because it kills a large portion of the poultry that it infects. And this avian virus is an influenza-type virus. There are other strains of it, like the H5N1, considered a low pathogenic avian influenza A virus, but it's H5N1 that's the real cause for concern right now. At this time, it does remain poorly adapted to humans. Transmission from birds to humans is infrequent, but it has actually occurred, usually in instances where extensive human and bird interaction has occurred, like poultry workers. Now, the leap to mammals like sea lions, otters, and dolphins is believed to be from the consumption of infected birds and not airborne transmission. There is some concern over how it spread through a Spanish mink farm and with sea lions off the coast of South America. The rate of spread in these locations has scientists and epidemiologists studying whether mammal-to-mammal spread has occurred. And to date, no sustained human-to-human transmission has been notably observed. And for that to happen, some viral adaptation has to occur. Avian virus and human viruses, they utilize distinct receptors on host cells for binding. And to acquire greater adaptability to humans, avian viruses would typically require only 2 or 3 slight modifications to a specific viral protein. The virus process is to attach, enter into host cells, replicate, and then evade the host immune system. And the current strain has a hard time attaching to human cells. It's not impossible for it to do so, but it's harder to do so in humans than it is in birds. That's also why the scientists are so concerned with the spread in sea lions and the minks. They are trying to determine if this viral adaptation has occurred and whether we're facing a possible zoonotic spillover. Whereas the avian flu virus has in recent years been primarily contained in the commercial poultry industries, this more extensive spread in the wild bird population provides more instances of the virus in more unregulated hosts. Therefore, there are also more opportunities for the virus to mutate. And when animals are infected, the virus has the most significant chance of viral adaptation in mammalian hosts. We may be seeing that now. In one recent study, some of the viruses from mammals have markers in the PB2 protein associated with increased virulence and replication in mammals, very rarely seen before the year 2020. In layman's terms, that's scientists speak for buckle up. This could get bad quickly. Are we on the cusp of another pandemic? Okay, so let's talk about some good news for the moment. Even with the increased possibility of a spillover of the zoonotic virus in humans, it's essential to put that into perspective and not panic. That is hopefully good news to many since we just made it through the COVID pandemic. Unlike the virus that caused it, SARS-CoV-2, H5N1 is a strain of influenza-type virus. And although there is no universal consensus regarding where the influenza virus originated, it spread worldwide during 1918 and 1919. Even before COVID, we did a whole video on that, which I'll link to in the comments below. What we do know is that we humans have over 100 years of experience and built up immunity to the influenza virus. And because of this, most humans, even newborns, have some antibodies against the virus. Now, that alone makes it significantly different from the coronavirus. When a person is infected with the influenza virus, their immune system can recognize the viral antigens as foreign, and our bodies start producing antibodies that can bind to and neutralize the virus. Now, these antibodies help to eliminate the virus from the body and prove immunity against that specific strain of influenza. Now, even lacking the exact ability to identify a particular antigen, our immune systems can recognize other proteins in the virus. And when humans do catch H5N1, when it does spill over and spread human to human, it likely won't have the same lethality as a never-before-seen virus like SARS-CoV-2. It will likely manifest as a nasty flu regarding the same attention as any other flu. Now, also because we have some general immune defense against it, the spread of this virus is reduced, and that means that the chances of it becoming a wildfire-spreading pandemic are less probable, as a direct transmission line is broken by each person who can fight off the infection and contain and eradicate the viral load that they received. So, are we on the cusp of another pandemic? Not really, at least not at the time of recording this video. So much would really have to happen to the virus. First, it would have to mutate and adapt to human proteins, and that would allow it to spread between humans via respiratory droplets. Second, it would have to mutate into a more virulent strain than it currently is to have the chance of sustaining its spread and pumping up its lethality. It would have to leapfrog over a century of our working immune systems. Now, can it leap to humans? Absolutely. Can it kill humans? Sure. Nature is tricky and clever, and everything, including viruses, wants to survive and thrive. There's just so much that has to happen, though, and as a result, I'm not overly concerned at this point, and I don't think you should either. Sick people. As of April 2023, there was only one potential case of H5N1 infection in the United States. Now, however, it is uncertain whether this was an actual infection or a misdiagnosis, as the individual had been involved in culling birds. It's possible that highly sensitive tests detected the presence of the virus without an actual infection. A 53-year-old woman from the Jiangsu province in eastern China tested positive for H5N1 after exposure to poultry. Her symptoms developed on January 31st, and she tested positive sometime in February. And although she was reported in serious condition, there have been no reports of human-to-human transmission in this case or any other H5N1 cases. Furthermore, the first recorded case of H5N1 in South America occurred in January of this year, involving a 9-year-old girl from Ecuador. While she was initially hospitalized in critical condition, she has since recovered. Similarly to the previous cases, the girl had close contact with poultry, their feces, or their fluids. And look, although these cases, they do raise concern, the absence of human-to-human transmission suggests that the necessary genetic changes in the virus to bind with human protein receptors effectively has not yet taken place. And that's not to say that it won't ever make this leap, nor that human-to-human transmission is not possible in the near future. It's just that it's not happening right now or in our immediate foreseeable future based on the evidence that we have today. What you should be doing. Now, the key to protect yourself is minimizing your exposure risk. This can be a challenge, as some of us in the preparedness community, we raise chickens. And if you have a backyard flock of chickens, ducks, geese, turkeys, or guinea fowl, I would encourage you to isolate them away from wild birds. Don't let them come in contact. You need to ensure that your coop and its run are secure from wild animals and rodents. Use fencing or netting to create a physical barrier. Clean the coop, the equipment, and surrounding areas on a regular basis. You need to monitor your flock for any signs of illness and isolate birds exhibiting symptoms. You need to practice a routine of good hygiene during and after interacting with them. Additionally, stay informed about avian flu outbreaks in your area through your local veterinary services or agricultural agencies. A few years ago in my area, we couldn't get chickens for nearly a year as there was an illness that spread through the poultry community. And when it comes to wild birds, you just need to avoid handling them along with exposure to their droppings. And in the off chance that you do encounter a grounded wild bird that may be in distress, either keep your distance and let nature take its course, or wear a mask and gloves and practice good sanitation when dealing with it. Keep your pets away from any possibly infected birds and watch them for signs of illness if they interact with wild birds, especially birds expressing symptoms. Now, the hardest hitting impact, at least for now, will be the poultry industry. Over 40 million egg-laying hens have been culled in the United States alone, making it the worst outbreak on record. What we can expect is the price of poultry and eggs to continue to rise for more than just inflationary reasons. Higher prices and fluctuating supply will put pressure on all other meat industries. Will we be ready for the next one? Okay, so we've gone through a lot of information. Let's get down to brass tacks. Here's a rub. The potential for biological threats, whether natural or man-made, are increasing on a daily basis. Now, since the early 1900s, there's been 11 outbreaks, and of those 11, 5 had a lethality equal to or greater than COVID. As you can probably easily imagine, there's been other new, more pathogenic viruses that have emerged in the last several decades. But I think there's 4 primary areas of concern. Number 1, when I graduated in 1999, one of the biggest concerns within the microbiology community was the inevitable outbreak of an illness that could not be contained or treated. And the medicine at that time was being outpaced by pathogens that were mutating faster than they could be stopped, and the issue is still overshadowing the medical community to this day. Number 2, new infectious diseases have been showing up at a faster pace due to a growing zoonotic transmission from animals to humans. Add to that, we're now able to travel quickly, and that really increases our risk of spreading those diseases faster. Number 3, laboratories around the world are testing and experimenting with increasingly dangerous pathogens, and that's not exactly a regulated industry, and one simple slip-up somewhere could lead to it quickly spreading. The origins of COVID are still uncertain, and the potential for it having started in a Wuhan lab have not yet been ruled out. Number 4, what's even more concerning are the unknown malicious actors around the world who could purposely release a biologic weapon, a highly contagious one at that. Now, all these previous points are not conspiracy theories, but instead are very real possibilities that even our current administration has pointed out that we need to consider and factor in how we prepare. So, to try to answer the question of whether or not we'll be prepared for the next virus, I guess I'd only say not really. Let's be honest, most people got extremely upset and aggravated with the restrictions and lockdowns that we all faced during COVID. Do you really think if another pathogen were to show up that people would just go along with the mandates? I don't really see that happening, at least not probably in many parts of the United States. And this is not my attempt to say that we shouldn't take the next major outbreak as serious, but I really have a hard time believing people won't just throw up their hands and really just go along with their life regardless of the potential health implications. Now, this is not a statement of judgment, but merely an observation. And look, maybe I'm a little jaded, but I think if we see a runaway illness sweep through, I can't really imagine most people will take it seriously. But hey, what do I know? It is clear that H5N1 has numerous genetic hurdles to overcome before it can rise to a pandemic level in humans. It is picking up speed and lethality in animals worldwide, and that's a reason enough for us to keep a close eye on it and proceed with caution. Now would be a good time to review the video that we did several years ago discussing practical steps that you can take to prepare for a pandemic. And let me finish by saying this. When I do these videos, I realize the content is heavy. A lot of what I explain gives room, or it provides enough of a reason to be concerned. I'll put it that way. I just spoke with another YouTube channel owner recently that's pretty popular in our space, and we were both discussing the issues facing the world at present. There's a lot of issues that we've never really had to face at one time, like what we're facing, existential threats and all these other things that seem to be piling up on a daily basis. And I hate to pile on another discussion, another issue on that pile, but there's these issues, we have to pay attention to these. And my encouragement as always is to keep doing what you're doing. Prepare, take advantage of the time that you have. During the coronavirus time that we all lived through, it was a wake-up call for a lot of people that the world can change in an instant. And I hope that we learn from that. And again, I know we've got our frustrations that we had from that period of time, But I would encourage you to not allow that to cloud your vision in continuing to stay vigilant and prepared. If you have any thoughts, any questions, any feedback, feel free to post that below in the comments section. And as always, stay safe out there.